everyone, it's Ginger from Stamping the Cape, and I'm here with my third and final project for my February virtual stamp club. If you have been following me a little bit, last month I started doing my regular stamp clubs projects that I hold in my home, and I'm offering them to you online. If you place an order of $35 or more, by February 28th, I'll send you all the supplies for the projects. The three projects this month are using sale-a-bration items. This was the first one and the second one, and then today's project uses, these projects use the So Hoppy Together stamp set that's free with a $50 purchase. And today's project is the Hello Cupcake, which is also free with sale-a-bration. I've kind of taken a case, which is copy and share everything, from the sale-a-bration brochure, but I've changed up the design a little bit and the colors. I've sort of made this more of a Neapolitan type of cupcake. So let's get started. Again, I'm doing some pre-prep just to try to make the videos a little bit quicker. So what I've already done is I stamped 3 of the frosting pieces, and what I've done is I've stamped this one. It's Flirty Flamingo cardstock with Flirty Flamingo ink. This is very vanilla ink, and what I did with this is I used crumb cake ink, but I stamped off first to try to make it much lighter, and then stamped on just to give it the texture. And then this is crumb cake cardstock with soft suede ink to give it the chocolate flavor. And then for my cupcake wrapper, it's mint macaron cardstock stamped in mint macaron ink, and I've actually just cut right across because we're going to be covering that up anyway. And also, just to let you know, on the chocolate and vanilla swirl, you don't have to get real detailed because they're going to get covered up anyway. But if you don't like hand cutting, as I said, there's some great products coming that are going to coordinate with our little frogs and our cupcakes. So stand by for February 15th, and you might want to see what happens then. So let's get started. So what I've done is on the card, there's your basic 8.5 by 5.5. This is gray granite, one of our new gray colors. And then I've cut the centerpiece. I started off with a 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece of the gray granite, and I cut it with our new rectangle stitched framelits, and I've used the largest one for that. But what happens is if you use the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece, you end up cutting out your layer, but you also end up with a nice second layer that you can use as a frame on another card. So that's kind of a neat thing to do. So what I've done is I've stamped with gray granite on the background here. I've used the words "Celebrate Your Day," and I'm stamping that in gray granite, not great granite. And I'm going to just do this randomly, well, sort of randomly, but I'm going to stamp one here on the left, and then I'll stamp one on the right just below it, and we'll go down the card that way, filling up the space. And I'm just trying to evenly space them out as best I can. Again, this is just in the background. It's going to be covered with a piece of vellum. Oops. Let's see if I can lay that over. Just want to get that not too bad. It's going to be covered up anyway. Okay, so now I'm taking the little sprinkles and I'm sort of doubling them up. So I'm going to start close to the word, and then I'm going to take it and fill in some space over here, and I can even stamp off the edge. Again, I'm going to start close to the word to the right, and then I can fill in here. So then you're just sort of getting a random sprinkling of sprinkles. Guess that makes sense, huh? So we're just going to continue to fill that in. Once again, if you stamp next to your word first, that way you know you can get it tucked in there nicely, and then fill in the space after by stamping off. So you get sort of a sense of the sprinkles coming down all through the card. And I've turned my block around just to make it a little more interesting. So there's your background. So we're done with gray granite. So now it's pretty much just a matter of, for the most part, assembling the card. And I forgot to score this, so I'm just gonna fold it instead. Never fails, I always forget something. Okay, so what I did was I put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this, and I usually like to, if I've got a large piece like this, I usually like to not only put them in the corners, but I like to put a couple in the middle, because I like to make sure that the card stays propped up. I feel that if you don't support that middle section, it kind of can sag in the middle, and I prefer not to do that, but you can do whatever you prefer. Oh, and I don't know if you've noticed, I have bluish green fingernails, and I apologize for that today. But yesterday I took a fun class. One of my stamping friends had signed up for a painting class at our local senior center, and her friend unfortunately was sick, and she asked if I'd like to come along. So we made this fun painting, and we just used sponges and bunches of Q-tips elastic together, and actually you know, kind of cute. And I'm going to take some a black gel pen, I think, and put something here like inspire or create or something like that. But I can't seem to get the paint off out of my fingers, so I apologize for that. Okay, so now we're going to lay our vellum down. And because we're going to be attaching our cupcake right down the center, I'm going to run some snail right down the center of this piece. You're not going to see it, and that will help to attach this. Unfortunately, you can see adhesive through vellum, but if you're covering it up anyway, it's not going to matter. So I'm going to use that center line to hold that down. Okay, so our cupcakes and our cupcake wrapper are all done with, put on with Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm gonna just attach one here for my base, and put it about there. Okay, so our first layer is chocolate, and I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on it. And this one I'm putting on straight across. And you would want to make sure when you put on your dimensionals, you don't want to put them too low and you don't want to put them too high. You don't want them to interfere with either piece. So on this next one, I'm going to kind of tilt it this way. And so I'm going to put, I think, the big dimensional right here. And I think I'm going to use a little dimensional at the little swirl, yeah, maybe up here, just to keep it in place. So we're going to just tilt this one a little bit off to the side, just slightly overlapping. And then our strawberry one will go tilt to the other side. And again, I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional where my finger is there to remind me, because if you put a Stampin' Dimensional here, it's going to be on top of this one, and it's going to have an extra layer, and it's going to be lopsided. So you don't want to double the dimensionals on there. Okay, so in this one, I'm going to go just like that. Okay, now for the sentiment, all I've done is I've got a piece of 1 inch by 3.5, and again, I will provide a PDF sheet with all the supplies and the measurements for all these pieces of cardstock. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Okay, I had it here. Oh, it's right here, duh. And that's going to get stamped again in the gray granite. How many times do you do that when you're looking for something and it's right there in front of you and you're scouring everything and just can't find it? Okay. So I'm going to stamp that in the middle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut at an angle this piece so that you just have it at a little bit of a diagonal. But then I'm going to narrow it down just a little bit. Take this little extra edge off just to make it a little narrower. And I'm going to pop that on with a dimensional on the right side and some snail, there goes my other snail, on this side so that it sticks down to the cupcake. And we've got it about here. So there you go. So that's my final project for this month's Stamp Club. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, these stamp sets are free with a $50 purchase through sale-a-bration, which runs through the end of March. And again, if you place a $35 order using my February hostess code this month, I'll send you all the paper supplies to create these 3 projects. Just to be aware, if you happen to place a $150 order, don't use the hostess code because you'll earn your own hostess rewards, but I'll still send you the projects. So thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed these 3 projects and have a great month. Bye-bye.